Manipulation is a way of getting what you want from someone without earning agreement. Instead of making a clear request and respecting a no, the manipulator changes the conditions around you, your emotions, your attention, your sense of reality, so you feel pushed into the outcome. It's influence through distortion, hiding motives, bending facts, and using pressure that doesn't look like pressure. Manipulation works because our brain is wired to avoid social threat. When guilt, fear, shame, or urgency gets triggered, your nervous system prioritizes relief over logic, so you start negotiating against yourself, apologizing, over-explaining, or giving in just to stop the tension. That's why manipulation often doesn't feel like control in the moment. It feels like your choice, even while your choices are being quietly steered. In the next section, we'll break down the most common manipulation tactics, what they sound like in real life, and the specific effect each one has on your mind and behavior. Gaslighting. Gaslighting is a tactic where someone repeatedly pushes you to doubt your memory, perception, or judgment. The goal isn't just to win one argument, it's to make you less certain of yourself over time, because uncertainty makes you easier to control. It often sounds subtle. That never happened. You're too sensitive. You always twist things. Or they'll agree to something, then later insist they never said it. The effect is measurable in daily life. You start over-explaining, keeping screenshots, replaying conversations, asking friends, "Am I crazy?" Your confidence drops, your anxiety rises, and you become more dependent on the manipulator's version of events, because your own reality starts to feel negotiable. Darvo is a common pattern after you confront someone about harm. They deny it, attack you for bringing it up, then reverse roles so they become the victim and you become the offender. It can sound like, "I didn't do that. You're always accusing me. Do you know how hard this is for me? You're the one hurting me right now." The effect is that the conversation instantly shifts away from accountability. You end up defending your tone instead of the original issue. Many people back down, apologize, or go silent, not because the concern wasn't valid, but because the emotional pressure becomes overwhelming. Guilt tripping. Guilt tripping uses emotional debt as leverage. Instead of a direct request, the person implies that refusing would make you selfish, ungrateful, or disloyal. "After everything I've done for you, if you cared, you would. Wow, I guess I know where I stand." The psychological mechanism is simple. It targets empathy and conscience. The effect is that you agree to things you don't actually want, then feel resentful, drained, or trapped. Over time, you start anticipating guilt before you even say no, so your boundaries weaken without anyone having to argue with you. Love bombing. Love bombing is intense affection, attention, compliments, gifts, or future promises used to create rapid emotional attachment. It can feel like someone finally sees you. Constant texting, big statements early, pressure to commit fast. The speed is the signal. Real intimacy grows. Manufactured intimacy rushes. The effect is dependency. When the intensity later drops, or flips into criticism, you chase the original high, trying to get back to the version of them you first met. That chase can keep people stuck in relationships that are inconsistent, confusing, and emotionally exhausting. Triangulation. Triangulation pulls a third person into the dynamic to create jealousy, pressure, or self-doubt. It can be obvious. "My ex never acted like you," or subtle. "Everyone agrees you're overreacting." The point is to make you feel outnumbered and unstable. The effect is that you stop trusting your own view and start competing for approval. It also isolates you, because you may feel embarrassed to talk to friends, or you worry the manipulator has already influenced them. Moving the goalposts. Moving the goalposts means the standard for good enough keeps changing. You fix the problem they named, and suddenly there's a new problem. You meet one expectation, and the bar quietly rises again. There's always one more thing you need to prove. The effect is chronic striving and anxiety. You're constantly performing, constantly adjusting, and never arriving at security. Over time, you internalize the idea that love, peace, or respect must be earned through endless effort. The silent treatment. The silent treatment is communication used as punishment. Instead of addressing conflict, the person withdraws affection, responses, or basic warmth until you comply or apologize. It teaches your nervous system that disagreement equals abandonment. The effect is powerful conditioning. Many people start walking on eggshells, avoiding honest feedback, and saying sorry just to restore connection. Over time, you stop bringing up needs at all because the cost feels too high. Coercive control. Coercive control is a sustained pattern of domination, rules, monitoring, isolation, intimidation, financial control, or threats designed to shrink someone's freedom over time. It's less about a single argument and more about building a cage. The effect is a life that gets smaller. Fewer friends, fewer resources, fewer choices, more fear. And because it happens gradually, many people don't recognize it until their autonomy is already severely limited. Manipulation works best when it targets automatic human systems, responses that kick in before careful thinking does. One of the strongest mechanisms is intermittent reinforcement, unpredictable rewards. If someone is warm one day and cold the next, your brain doesn't relax. It starts scanning for how to win back, the good version. This is the same learning principle that makes slot machines addictive. Uncertainty creates persistence. In relationships, it can look like you working harder and harder for basic kindness. Another mechanism is cognitive overload. When a person floods you with accusations, fast-talking, contradictions, or drama, your brain shifts into stress processing. Stress hormones rise, attention narrows, and you become more likely to choose the quickest path to relief. Apologize, agree, back down, because your nervous system wants the pressure to stop. Then there's shame and self-doubt. If someone can make you feel morally wrong, selfish, ungrateful, too much, they don't have to force you. You'll police yourself. And if they can destabilize your reality, gaslighting. You start outsourcing your judgment to them because certainty feels safer than confusion. Finally, manipulation often exploits attachment needs, the fear of conflict, abandonment, or being disliked. When connection feels threatened, many people will trade their boundaries for peace, without even realizing they made that trade. Manipulation has patterns you can feel before you can fully explain them. One of the earliest signs is that you feel responsible for their emotions, like it's your job to keep them calm, happy, or satisfied, even when you haven't done anything wrong. You also notice you're spending a lot of time explaining, defending, or proving yourself because the conversation keeps shifting away from facts and into your character. Another sign is that your world starts to shrink. You hesitate to tell friends what's going on. You second-guess your opinions. You change your behavior to avoid triggering moods, criticism, or withdrawal. A lot of people describe the same bodily cues: walking on eggshells, a tight chest before seeing their name on your phone, relief when they're pleased, dread when they're not. Healthy relationships make you feel more like yourself, more stable, more clear. Manipulation trains you to be smaller, quieter, and constantly on alert. Spotting manipulation is only half the battle. The real win is knowing what to do the moment it starts. In this section, you'll get practical moves and short scripts that protect your boundaries without getting pulled into endless arguments. Name the tactic. Don't debate the story. When manipulation is happening, debating details often becomes a trap because the goal is confusion, not clarity. Instead, name the process you see. You can say, "I'm not continuing this conversation if you're rewriting what happened," or "This is turning into blame shifting and I'm not doing that." The point isn't to diagnose them, it's to protect your decision making. Once the tactic is labeled, you stop chasing their version of reality and return to observable behavior. Slow the timeline manipulation loves urgency, so your first defense is time. I'm not deciding right now. I'll get back to you tomorrow. Send it in writing and I'll review it. Slowing the timeline lowers adrenaline and gives your prefrontal cortex, your planning brain, time to come back online. Most healthy requests survive a pause. Most manipulative demands don't. Keep receipts. This isn't about revenge, it's about reality. If you're dealing with gaslighting or shifting stories, keep brief notes, dates, what was said, what was agreed, save messages when appropriate. The goal is to reduce self-doubt. When your brain is stressed, memory becomes less reliable, and having a record stops you from being dragged into, maybe I imagined it. Use boundary language boundaries. Work when they're simple, behavioral, and followed by action. Try. If you insult me, I'm ending the call. If you raise your voice, I'm leaving the room. I'm willing to discuss this, but not while I'm being blamed for your feelings. Notice the structure. If X happens, I will do Y. No long speeches. No begging for understanding. A boundary is not a debate. It's a rule for your participation. Rebuild external reality. Manipulation thrives in isolation. Rebuild your reality outside the relationship. Talk to a trusted friend, therapist, or support group. Get a second set of eyes on confusing interactions. This isn't talking behind their back. It's reality checking. When you have external anchors, you're less likely to accept distorted narratives as truth. When it's dangerous, safety planning. If you see coercive control, monitoring, threats, isolation, financial restriction, prioritize safety over winning arguments. Document patterns, strengthen your support network, and consider professional help or local services. In dangerous dynamics, the goal is not to convince them, it's to protect yourself. If you remember one thing, make it this. Manipulation works by changing your conditions, creating urgency, triggering guilt or shame, and blurring reality until relief feels more important than truth. That's why the strongest response isn't a longer argument. It's restoring the basics we covered: time, clarity, and boundaries with action. So when you feel that familiar rush, your chest tight, your mind spinning, your fingers ready to type a long explanation, pause. Give yourself a deadline that's yours, not theirs. Ask, what is the actual request here? And if the conversation turns into blame, rewriting, or punishment, don't chase closure. End it, step back, and come back only when respect is on the table.